Okay, how big is the task facing interim FA chairman Peter McCormick? In my personal opinion, he's got a massive task ahead of him. Greg Clark has left a situation that is basically a tyre fire, is the best way to describe the situation Greg Clark has left behind. We know that the discussions concerning a financial rescue package between the EFL and the Premier League are ongoing. We know that League One and League Two rejected the £50 million on the table that the Premier League offered them because they said, and rightly so, the Championship wasn't included. It's the EFL as a whole or nothing that needs to be on the table. The issues with structural reform in the FA aren't going away, and that's for a variety of reasons, be it race relations, inclusivity, the structures of the FA with including the county FAs as well, and how they make up the board, the makeup of the board itself. While reform has happened there, it's happening, I think, at a very slow pace, and that needs to be sped up. And I think the COVID pandemic could be the catalyst that gets this going. Now, TV deals is another one, the role of agents in the game, the fact that the FA itself is an asset-rich organisation but very cash-poor, and the fact that no fans were in attendance at this weekend's FA Cup games, no NFL games taking place at Wembley either, and the possibility that the Rugby League World Cup, is not at Wembley next year, and that would have been a big cash earner for the FA because they own Wembley. The fact that the Rugby League World Cup has chosen the Emirates as its London stadium to play games is, I think, a bit of a FU to Wembley Stadium and the FA. There's a big debate about the Challenge Cup final, how long it should stay at Wembley. Yes, there's a deal that's been struck that goes until I think 2027, and then that's up for negotiation. Now the whole situation is quite pressing, especially with the football rescue package for the EFL. That should be the first priority that Peter McCormack addresses straight up. The reform agenda, I think, will have to be sped up as well. But I think the first and biggest priority should be making sure that all clubs can make payroll and all clubs can survive this pandemic, and that a solution can be found with the rescue package that involves both the Premier League and EFL both meeting somewhere in the middle, because without a rescue package, more than just 10 clubs will struggle to make payroll. We could see 50 to 60 clubs go bust before the end of the season. And that warning from the Huddersfield owner during the first lockdown in March, I think, is starting to ring true. When League One and League Two said we're not going to resume playing the rest of the season without fans in attendance because it costs more money to play games in front of empty stadiums than with reduced capacities or not at all, is starting to ring true. The calls for a salary cap in football. Now, it's only at League One and League Two level at the moment, but that could grow to cover all leagues. That's going to be on the agenda, and the TV rights debate. What we've seen with the pay-per-view shambles has brought that into the forefront. Now, yes, ITV and BBC will be sharing FA Cup rights from next season. I think that's a little bit of a coup, getting more games on free-to-air TV, but at the end of last season we saw some games on free-to-air TV involving the Premier League and the Championship. That's going to be on the agenda going forward. The FA at the moment can only negotiate TV rights to do with the FA Cup and internationals. The EFL controls the TV rights for the League Cup, and the Premier League and the EFL obviously control their TV rights as well, their negotiations. I think the FA needs to have more of a say when it comes to TV right negotiations. The role of agents in the game, that's been a long-held debating point. That can't go away either, because this is where a lot of clubs are spending a lot of money that unnecessarily on obscene amounts of money on agents' fees. The transparency of club takeovers. The reform agenda when it comes to including everyone, equality and all that, race relations, women's game, that still needs to take place. There are recommendations that the Parliamentary Select Committee compiled in a report back in 2017. Only some of those recommendations have actually been acted upon. There is still a long way to go in improving the structures of the FA internally, and the relationship between the county FAs and the FA, and the transparency of the FA. I don't think Peter McCormack gets the job full time. I think if the FA is to really get the reform agenda going, someone from the outside needs to come in, because the FA has been so slow in reform in recent years that some fresh blood on the board, some fresh ideas coming in may actually assist in speeding up the reform process. Also, trying to get more ex-players involved with administrating the game, and ex-referees and linesmen, so ex-officials, I think would be a good idea. There's not enough of them involved in the structures of the FA in the various roles that are there, like development officers and things like that, coaching. If you can get some ex-coaches, some ex-players, some ex-matchday officials involved in the administration of the game, I think that could be a positive. I don't think there's enough of them. So there's a lot on the table. The most pressing, however, is making sure that no club goes bust and that all clubs can meet their payroll, because we do know that the EFL have admitted that they are aware of at least 10, if not more, clubs that are going to struggle to pay their players and non-playing staff at the end of the month. So a deal between the Premier League and the EFL has to be struck within the next 2.5 weeks. Otherwise, we could see an actual collapse of the Football League system, and that doesn't mean the Premier League is protected. If Manchester United are admitted to losing £5 million per day without fans in attendance, or making £5 million less in revenue per day because of no fans in attendance, that tells you how severe the situation is at the lower level of the game. Manchester United, one of the most profitable clubs, as a standalone entity, as an entity, as a brand, is struggling to make money. That tells you how serious the situation is. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if Peter McCormick can be a steady pair of hands, but what the FA sorely needs is some strong leadership and some decisive leadership. Some of the issues and some of the concerns about him being interim is he was involved in the attempted sale of Wembley to Saeed Khan, which did not go down well. He's obviously been on the board at the FA, so he's still part of the old guard, and there are calls to freshen up the board completely while keeping the same structure of the board, the amount of people on it, and those of minorities and women on the board. Fresh ideas need to come in. So he's part of the old guard, which is part of the problem that the 2017 report stated that it was basically an organisation for the boys, the old boys club, and that there were majority middle class, white and male, and middle-aged, which is not necessarily the best for the game. And most of them haven't played football at a professional, semi-professional level. If anything, they last played football when they were at school. So understanding the community aspects of the game and understanding what needs to be done is going to be interesting. But I'm going to leave that there. Place your thoughts below. Fingers crossed that a deal between the EFL and the Premier League can be reached within days. I don't think they can wait until the last minute to come to some kind of deal, because I think that would be too late. I think they need to come to a deal as soon as possible. Now, we know that talks have resumed. Obviously, the EFL, as an entity, contains 3 leagues. They have set out their stall saying that any rescue package or any financial aid has to include the Championship, League 1 and League 2 as a whole. It can't just be divvied up, a Championship deal, a League 1 deal and a League 2 deal, or League 1 and League 2 and the Championship separately. It has to be a wider deal that involves all 3 leagues. And we'll have to see what happens. But thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.